Hello Azerothians, I'm Kerrigan, and today I want to discuss how the Children of the Night could learn the few classes they are missing. I have a lot of thoughts on this, so let's get right into it. Paladins. Holy warriors who fight for causes they believe to be just, using willpower and faith in themselves to carry through even the darkest of nights. Canonically, in both the Priest and Paladin Order Halls of Legion, we have witnessed Delis Moonfang become the first recognized Night Elf Paladin. While she pledges herself to the code of conduct for paladins and becomes a warrior of the light, I think it would be much more appealing if Kaldorei paladins still inherited their powers from Elune the way their priestesses do. If Tauren can use the light of Anshe, the sun, to be Sunwalker paladins, why can't Night Elves use the light of Elune, the moon, to be Nightbound paladins? So imagine, the first order of Night Elf paladins being considered the Warhammers or Shields of Elune, the defenders of the Dark Moon. Tyrande called upon Elune to wear her darkest face in pursuit of vengeance for a cause that she wholeheartedly believed justified it. I highly doubt that she was the only one who felt this way. What if the Sisterhood of Priestesses that resided in Teldrassil's temple were so distraught at the feeling of helplessness during Teldrassil's burning that they followed in Tyrande's footsteps, choosing to become warriors dedicated to bringing justice to their fallen kin while maintaining their passion for healing others with the light of Elune? These former priestesses would have the Night Warrior eyes, serving as somewhat of a justification for player characters continuing to have the option available. And while I know Blizzard isn't huge on spell customization per race, it would be magnificent to have Night Elf Paladins' holy spells be tinged with dark purple or blue, like the aura Elune gives off when eclipsed. The Night Elf Paladin mounts could use the model of the Ancient Frost Saber, a mount that was originally available until patch 1.4, Its eyes could also be the Night Warrior eyes, connecting it to the Paladin order of NPCs. The upgraded version could be the same model, but wearing a modified armor of the Vicious Warsabers. They could be called the Defender's Moonsaber, or the Vengeful Moonsaber, and the Eclipsed Moonsaber. Paladin shields could be themed after the Sentinel glaives, allowing more than just demon hunters to have access to glaive-like weapons. This would also match the armor of their saber mounts. Moving on. Shamans. With the release of Dragonflight, we know that Kaldorei shamans can exist. Corleth is one of the first adversaries we face on the Dragon Isles, who bears the mark of the burning of Teldrassil and is a primalist shaman. Shamanism and Druidism are vastly similar, and with Night Elves being one of the original Druidic races of Azeroth, I believe they could easily translate their respect for nature and life to respecting the elements and being powerful shamans themselves. Take into consideration that Night Elves evolved from Dark Trolls, who had shamanism in the form of witch doctors and shadow hunters. So very early Night Elves more than likely still had the ability to be shamans and borrow power from the elements. Queen Azshara's scepter, Sharastal, the Scepter of Tides, is even the Restoration Shaman's artifact weapon. It is said that Azshara whispered the names of the freshwater rivers in the nearby seawater to create the lakes that surrounded Lazar Lothal, a temple to Elune. This point was brought up in an episode of the Lore Watch podcast called The Common Origins of Shamanism, Druidism, and Arcane Magic, which I highly suggest you listen to. But consider that Azshara could have turned shamans into mages, as she does not ask for power, she bends it to her will. Maybe Azshara was once a shaman who decided that she no longer wanted to ask the elements for their power, instead taking it from the arcane well of eternity, becoming a mage. Please go listen to that Lore Watch episode because their deep dive helped inspire this episode. Night Elves have suffered much from the destruction of elements. The Well of Eternity flooded their cities upon its destruction, the Plane of Fire destroyed the grounds and shrines of Mount Hyjal, their second main home, and even the forests of Ashenvale and Darkshore are ravaged by elemental rage. After the burning of Teldrassil, Night Elves might want to learn how to work with elements so they never have to face that level of destruction again. While it wouldn't have prevented the World Tree from going up in smoke, maybe they could have held off the fires to save more people. Maybe they could have called upon the ocean that surrounded the tree for assistance in resisting the flames. With the loss of so much of their population, I could also see Night Elves embracing shamanism as a way to connect with their ancestors or the spirits of their people. With the Shaman's class hall in Legion, we know we can directly communicate with the elemental lords and ladies, making a conversation much easier to have. We also have access to the various elemental planes through other means, so it's not irrational to think any of the non-shamanic races could go speak to the elemental rulers and strike a bargain. Much like the moon has an effect on our oceans and tides, there are canon references to Elune and Neptulon having a balance of power over the oceans. From the Tablet of Balancing Tides, the whispers of Elune and Neptulon play on the tides. Their words etched in stone are a tribute to the balance of their powers. There's a quest in Darkshore called Power Over the Tides, where you use an orb of Elune to soothe enraged tidal spirits. After becoming tranquil, they sometimes say, the tides do as Elune commands. There is a small chance that the Tide Mother that the Kultiran shamans worship is Elune or a wild god in the form of a kraken. Or maybe Elune and Neptulon had a baby, such as how Aphrodite was born of the heavens and sea. Regardless, Elune's connection to water and water's closeness to the Emerald Dream and wild gods, therefore druids, all suggest in my mind that night elves could be powerful waterbenders, shamans. For their totems, I think mini statues of Hedin would work perfectly. She is the first priestess of Elune. She is the statues that you see inside of the temples of Elune that are holding the bowls of moon water up that cascade down into the floor of the temple. If not her, maybe the totems could be inspired by the Emerald Dream portals, or even inspired by the various world trees. I started making this video back before we had Night Elf Warlocks about a year ago, and I decided that I would cut that content since we do already have them. If you would like me to still post that, please comment that down below. It would basically just be my lore justifications for how Night Elves could be realistically Warlocks. But I really appreciate those of you who have stuck around. You guys are fantastic, and I am going to be trying to upload. I don't know how consistently I'll be able to do that, but it is something I want to do. So I will be making the videos for the other races, just please have patience with me. Like the video, subscribe, and with that, farewell and safe travels.